So we went over the first part of this. This is like a listing consultation, I like to call it. Not presentation. You're consulting with the owner. So the first part was reviewing comps. We had sample comps. We went over. We handled some objections. What else did we cover?
Pricing, objection.
Pricing.
That was pretty much it. Oh, rapport.
Oh yeah,
We built
rapport.
with
Oh,
them.
we talked about personalities too. That's the big piece I was thinking of. All right, so in today's is basically you're breaking down what you're gonna do to help them sell their house. So this is a sample marketing action plan that I kind of put together, and we'll talk with the owner. So each one of these is a talking point when it comes to sitting in front of somebody to help sell their home. So basically you're explaining all of your services and what you're going to do for them to help them. So
be reading these, because then I'm going to ask you to add to this.
yeah. So this is a plan in Cloud CMA, which is part of MetroList. Like you can build this out, and this page is editable to either take some things off that you don't like or add more in that you're gonna think you want to implement. I know agents who say in different markets, more higher end markets, they're like, hey, before we list your house, I'm gonna hire a professional cleaning crew to come in, clean your house free of charge. And then we'll get photos done and do all the marketing. That's just part of their offering that they're gonna do for their clients, you know? So you gotta think about what things you wanna add or take out. So for me, obviously we do a lot of professional photography, we do video. It's important, like I broke down, like we're gonna post your home on all the major real estate websites, Zillow, Trillia, HotPads, Craigslist, Realtor.com. A lot of that happens automatically, but the clients don't know that. And for you to say, yeah, we're gonna do these things, and then say if you're competing with another agent who doesn't tell them, they go, oh, well, Dave's gonna post on all these websites. Yeah, other agent's not going to.
Let me get into that one
Yeah.
about the internet, because had one the other day, and a veteran in our office called me and said, my client's complaining because he's not on Zillow and Trulia and all that. And I said, well, it should be if we went into MLS, because it's supposed to do it automatic. There's a place when you're entering your listing that it says, put out to internet. It says yes to begin with. He unchecked it, and then that made it a no. So it didn't go out to these places.
Yeah.
So when you're putting in a listing, that's automatic if you just leave it the way it is, that it's going to put this out to all these other sites. Just so you know that, it is in there. And if you haven't entered a listing yet, now keep it in mind to look for that when you're entering your first one. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so this is also great because it breaks down the timeline for them. Like this is what we're going to do in the first week, the second week, it's on the market, and moving forward after that. So come on. So then what you're going to do on an ongoing basis. Hey, Clay. I'm going to give him one of these things.
Hey, Clyde.
So like I said, you can go through and edit this in the Cloud CMA. Like I'm looking at this and thinking I should probably go in and alter it depending on who you're meeting with and the type of client. This is kind of my standard template. Like if you are going to have an open house and you plan on door knocking all the neighbors and letting them know the house is on the market, add that in there. And it gives you an opportunity to talk about that process. These are just bullet points to be able to talk about it. Makes sense? Any questions? Things that you would want to add? Or Richard, you got some questions, don't you?
Yeah, there's, okay, these points look great. And let me tell you how important this page is. honestly probably the most important page in your listing presentation or your, what'd you call it, David? Your consultation?
Yeah.
Because they want to know what you're going to do for them. They all want to know, but some people go in and wing it. Here's the comps, you're ready to list with me. Well, first of all, who are you? What are you? And why should I list with you? You didn't answer any of those questions, so why should they list with you? I just gave you a price, which, by the way, that he didn't like. And so now you're kind of, out of 4 or 5 people you might be talking to, you're in last place. You're not probably going to get this listing. Now you go in with something like this, all the things you're going to do, they're all pretty common. And somebody in the market for a while, a couple of you might say, well, everybody does that. He doesn't know that unless you tell him, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Some things to add to this. You might actually, if you have a full presentation, have a picture of your license. You know, DRE made it all pretty for us. Why don't we show it off? You know, it's got color to it. Show it off. Will everybody else show theirs? No. What's the doubt going to happen? Well, I know she's licensed because she showed it to me. I don't know if he is. Right? So don't assume. Assume is a killer. Add everything. Now, did you kind of go over these pages? What else would you add to these? Do you have any other pages or any other things that you would say that you would do? Okay, we talked about the open, David added that open homes and door knocking around it. I'd put that in there for sure. And if they don't want you to hold open house, okay, that's fine. But that you would do it. Why are you door knocking around the open house?
Generate exposure for it.
Yep, and hopefully create buyers.
I get a listing.
Well, no, you don't want to tell him that. You're in a listing presentation. Yeah, let me get another listing to compete with yours, sir. That's all I'm here for. That probably won't put you in very good standing. No, you're trying to get buyers at that point. Okay, a couple others that I read on a little site the other day was, you get contracts. What are you looking for, especially in this market, if they offered more? You're looking for proof of funds. Right. Why? Because you want to see, first of all, if they can purchase that house. Second of all, if there's more money that maybe they could put up toward that appraisal versus price differential. So that's things you're explaining. Verify the funds. Verify the deposit being put into escrow. Why am I doing all this? Well, Mr. Seller, I'm doing all this to protect you, because what if they didn't put the deposit in and then a week later they want to cancel? Well, they wasted a week of your time. Now there's nothing you can go after because they didn't put the deposit in. So you're kind of screwed. And it's because you didn't take care of that and try to get that in. So money talks. Make sure the money is in. The more money they put into this deal, the more they're into this deal too. So be thinking of things you can add to this list. But if you go with just this, I don't want to call it common list. If you go with just this, and then in the Cloud CMA, it's going to personalize it for you. You probably haven't done it yet.
No.
Hopefully you three have. Go in and personalize your Cloud CMA.
Shaking your head?
I mean, not officially for a client. Like, oh yeah, I guess I get.
Well, you go in and personalize it for yourself. Then that way, every time you make one, it's going to have your picture, your name, your logo, and everything in there ready to go. Then when you add or take out some of this stuff, all that's already there. It looks very nice. There's not really a better one you could do out there. Thank you, MLS, for doing this for us. Now we just have to customize it to where it looks good from us. So remember that on this page, and it could be 2 pages, but it's very important on your presentation. I mean, just because you have it listed and you talk about each point, they're going to be like, wow, you're doing all of this? The last person in said, are you ready to list? You're going to blow them away. even though that other person's going to do all the same thing you're doing. You just said you're going to do it. So it's all in presentation. Okay, David, what's next?
So, a couple things. So on this, I was thinking they should team up and practice explaining what they're going to do, because the point here is, like, for me, I want to make this a conversation with the client. Like, I want to be interactive. I don't want to be presenting, okay, I'm going to do this, next I'm going to do this, next I'm going to do this, and they'll just get kind of their eyes glazed over. So you have to make it a conversation, you got to ask them questions. Hey, instead of saying I'm going to consult with the stager, like, ask them, would you guys be interested in if I've brought in a stager prior to getting photos done to kind of strategize how we're going to make your house look its best? Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. You know, instead of saying I'm going to do this, you got to make it interactive. Ask them that open-ended questions. Okay, once the stager's here, we'll set up a follow-up appointment for her to come in and do that. The next step is really to get your house clean and looking its best. You know, so it wants to be like an interactive conversation. It gives you, like, here's a bullet point: review the showing procedure. So this gives you an opportunity to talk about how most showings are done. You know, it's occupied, obviously. You want to explain why it's appointment only. Ask them the best times they like the home to be shown. Is it afternoons only, weekends only? You know, tell them the showings usually take about 30 minutes. It's best that you leave and let them do their thing. So that's a whole conversation in itself right there.
Yeah, something to add to that too. Everybody know how the lock boxes work? Like you know, if you go out and show David's listing, David will know in the next hour who showed it, because it's computerized and it sends a signal and it tells who showed the house. And the security part to it, which is real important, that let's say they have a break-in or their Rolex watch is missing after a showing. By the way, that happened in this office. And thank God it wasn't our agent, it was the buyer's little kid that took the Rolex. So, but what happened? They went back and checked the showings, and obviously our agent was the last one in, so they called that agent before they sent the cops to get him. And he checked with the buyers, and the buyers said, good thing you called, I was getting ready to call you. Our little kid has their watch. Their little boy was walking around, oh, that's a watch. It was also a pretty expensive watch.
That's crazy.
But the lockbox helped them to track this down. So you can tell them how secure the lockbox is, you know, hey, how high tech we are and how we, you know, do things to protect you. Guarantee you most agents are going to say, oh, we're going to put a lockbox on your house so that you don't have to be there when they show it. Okay, what's the lockbox do? It lets them show it. Well, how about how secure it is, you know? Go into a little more detail. I'll tell you, 5 more minutes right here makes a big difference. I can't stress that enough. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to tell you a quick story on the open houses. Some people don't want open houses at all. It's for whatever reason, privacy, whatever. They don't want.
Especially during COVID.
They don't want neighbors going through their house. If it was 5 or 6 years ago now, I was going on a listing consultation. It was going to be it's the highest priced at the time priced home on a custom built house in Spanish Park West on the lake. I'm like, okay, I need to pull out all the stops for this one because I want to get the listing. So I explained my mega open house. I wasn't going to do a normal open house. I was going to do a mega open house, like catered food, invite all the agents, invite all the neighbors, have help at the open house so people can get in behind the gated community. I was going to create like a party atmosphere to just get as many buyers in the door as possible. The husband's like, oh, that sounds pretty good. The wife's all, that all sounds great, but we don't want to do an open house. I was like, you know, one of my plans for a mega open house.
Shot that down, huh?
But I still sold it.
I guess that's why you ask at the beginning, are you are you open to me holding open houses
Yeah.
for you? And they might say, well, what's the benefit of that? Well, it gets more people in it, to possibly view it and buy it. And then see what they say. If they don't want you to, well, that's fine. In this market, it'd probably sell anyway, but in some, it sure will help. Okay? So, we're not going to go over every step here of this list, but you go over it, and then let's hear what else you have to add. Anybody have something to add that they do special that's different? Because I'm going to ask in the next question, why should I use you over her or over him? And if you don't have something about yourself that makes you a little more special, or at least special to them, then why would they hire you? You're exactly the same as her. You're exactly the same as him. But that one person's going to come in and give them some extra little things they're going to do, like a lot of this on the list, and they're going to win because of that. So you have to have what makes you different. What just in Stockton, how many agents there are? There's probably close to 2,000. You're competing with 1,999 other agents. So don't you have to do something to make you a little bit better? And what might that be? Anybody? Don't all yell at one time. Sometimes
No, that's why we're here. We're here to brainstorm, develop an answer that would work best for you.
Yeah, we're going to come up with a few.
You
A lot of people have their little, along with their logo, like a real top agent I used to know in Manteca. It was, in fact, I forgot his name now. So call Jim and start packing. Well,
The slogan.
I mean, he sold 100 homes a year. I mean, he had a lot going on. So other people, it might not be the logo. It might be something. Look, this is what I do that nobody else does. What might that be? Come up with that. You need to. In my case, we did the personalities the other day. Did we all agree that I'm pretty aggressive? My wife does. I'm incredibly aggressive. Well, how do I make that favorable for a seller? Well, I'm aggressive. I'm going to go out and find you buyers. Don't you want somebody that's going to be aggressive to find you buyers? Now, in David's case, he's the opposite of me. He's not aggressive. So his strength is going to be something else. So I might use that one. Where David says, well, I do the door knocking, I do the open houses, I do this, I do that, I do the professional videos, I do the professional pictures, so unless I matched him with all that and then maybe beat him out with one more thing, we're running even, aren't we? This is a competition. This is showtime. When you go to a listing appointment, you're getting it or you're not getting it. If you get it, in this market, that's a paycheck. Anywhere, $6,000 to $10,000. You don't get it, it's this. This is how much you get when you walk out of there and they don't call you back. So keep that in mind. It's big difference. The big difference between the agents that make little money a year and the ones that make big money are these things right here. Because they go to a listing appointment, they're going to blow you away. And what would I do if I came in against any of you? I'd tear all of you a new one. I'd say I have 500 sales. All them put together don't have 500 sales.
All the time we clean your house for free.
Okay, there we go. You just came up with one. Part of my listing is that I will clean your house for free. What? Well, my wife will like that one.
You got to rephrase it.
Phrase it.
Not I'm going to clean your house. I'm going to bring in a professional cleaning crew.
Yeah.
Are you a professional cleaner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Say,
That's a great one.
You're a professional cleaner. And you know what? All you can do the same. You just got to hire Ashley.
I'm surprised how many real estate agents get their clients' houses cleaned for this.
That's right. That goes on a lot. So, or they get it cleaned right before it's going to move in. Somebody's going to move in. So those things are very important. So there we go. You got to find what your thing is. And you know what? You might just make one up to begin with, but then you have to live that way. You know, if you say, I'm going to do this, then you better be able to do it. Watch out when you make your list, and David warned you on this. I've seen this happen, and I've gotten the calls. Well, Ashley listed my house, and she gave me this list of all the stuff she was going to do. And number 17, she didn't do. And I'm mad. Oh boy, here we go. So I got to call Ashley and say, so why didn't you do 17? You told your clients you would. It was on that piece of paper. So don't put something in there that you're not going to do, or at least get, like on the open house, get it from them that they don't want you to hold it. That's okay, but I've had that happen. I've had those calls. So when you make your list, like David said too, customize it toward that person. You know, it might not, everything might not fit this person versus the one you met last week. Okay? So with that list, now, David, are we to that page where
Not
we're
yet.
asking
I'm gonna go off script here for a minute.
Okay.
I got some homework.
You want to write here?
Yeah, I'm gonna write.
Okay.
Move out of the way. Just kidding.
I moved before
So I have
on the
homework
ground.
for all of you, and I do this currently, as you know. Some of you may know. You want to start creating some evidence of success, or let's call it tips for sellers, right? Whatever it may be. So what I would suggest, so how do we do this? You got to create content. You need to create content regarding how you've helped people, or content around selling, specifically with pictures of you in it, or video, even better, with video. Photos, stories.
So right there, just with David, would he be able to unload quite a few videos on the client and say, look, this is what I do? Wow, look at all those. By the way, I've seen those videos before.
I don't know if, well, I've been on the YouTube channel. I don't know if anybody else has. Go on my YouTube channel, there's tons of stuff. So you got to get over yourself about not doing video. And here's a perfect example. Yesterday I get an email. Subject line is thinking of selling rental in Spanish Park West. This guy writes an email. Hey, I have a tenant. He's moving out in June. What do you do that can help me get this thing sold after the tenant moves out? What do you include in your base commission structure? So I happened to be on my email, so I responded in 10 minutes. And I wrote some things, but I said, hey, I've helped a lot. Check out my YouTube channel. And I put a clickable link to go to the YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, there's evidence of success. And there's market updates. You know, if he watches enough, he'll be able to tell.
Other homes you sold.
Other homes, listing videos. I get to the office this morning, and you guys write this down too. calandlee.com. In your email on the bottom, you can create a free Calendly account where somebody can book. I write in my email footer, it says schedule a time with me. Click here, and Calendly will sync. It syncs with my Gmail calendar, and it shows the times I'm available. And they can book a 15-minute call with me. So I get an email saying he wants to schedule a call at 4:45 tomorrow to talk about selling his house. And he booked it through the Calendly link. So, but you need the evidence of success. So content with videos or photos, stories, a blog, you know, on a website. Is this a lot of work? It is. You don't do it all at once. You do it over time.
And some of you might say, you know, 3 of you in here are like real new. So do you have a bunch of that? No. Use ours. You know, our YouTube channel has what, about 140 videos on it? Pick 1 or 2 of them. And, or pick, you know, some of David's where he sold the property. Here's an example. This is my broker. This is what we do for you. So you just became part of him.
Yeah.
And just use that. So sometimes your stories of success, and your stories of success could be whatever you did in the past. What'd you do? Joe's like a big time farmer. He was on TV. I remember watching that show. Well, you know, that could be, believe it or not, you can incorporate. I went to a seminar one time and the guy picked out somebody from the crowd and they were a brand new realtor. Where'd you work before this? Burger King. You might say, Burger King? How's that going to help me sell a house? Well, by the time he finished, it's how punctual she was, how, you know, nice and aggressive at the same time that she was, you know. You want that with onions? You know, this and that. And I mean, he just turned it into a whole story, and you were impressed with this person as a realtor based on how good she was at Burger King. See how you can take that and change it around? So, you know, do that, especially you young ones, and between using mine and David's stuff, or whoever's stuff that you can use that somebody gives you permission to do it, but you can use ours all day long. And then just say, this is what we do at Advanced One McKeever Real Estate. We meaning you and us.
Yeah, I think on our, Matt, I think on our channel on YouTube, there's like sample listing videos I've done, Magda, Carmela's on there, Julie. So you can easily say, these are videos that our office does. So you can, while it's different agents, you can say you can do it for yours. So don't hesitate sharing there. But this is all marketing. This isn't about the listing presentation, but it helps. Because the more you can show your marketing, the easier your listing presentation is. You know? The more you can share these things, then you walk in, you know, I walk in, people say, oh, you look just like your videos. Well, yeah, I just posted it last week, you know? Or they kind of act like they know me already. So, you know, and so the videos it's so crucial because they get to know you, your personality as best as possible. Sometimes it's hard to really show your true personality on video because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So it's super important to have this to share before you go on the listing appointment. So when you get there, they've already seen hopefully half your stuff, like the things you're doing. And another thing with this, it's one thing to talk about what you're going to do. It's another thing to show them what you're going to do. Hey, you want to see a sample listing video that I did last week that I just sold this house? We can do this for you too. Or when I met this client, this is what his house looked like. We helped him get it staged and fixed up. And these are the before pictures. These are the after pictures. Like you're showing them how you're going to help them. You're not just throwing them off a list.
Number 3 on the list is what? Put a sign. How many videos have you seen of David where the video starts in the front yard and it shows the sign? One of the things that you get done at your house. So you see the video is showing those things. There's just one example of that. So like David said, I know this sounds like a lot, but when you get to where you have this down and all you have to do is go into the cloud and change it once in a while for the new person you're going to meet tomorrow, then it's pretty easy. But at the beginning, putting it together is a lot of stuff. But get on the other side of yourself and say, okay, I'm presenting to myself. Did that impress me or not? And if you didn't even impress yourself, you're sure the heck not going to impress somebody out there. Okay? So, David, what else?
So I would encourage, this stuff is all working. You guys are in business. Each one is this is a business. So you got to treat it like that. And with the business, you have to market. You got to market yourself. And that's working on your business. So how many hours a week are you going to work on this stuff? And you got to set time aside to do it. This is a 1 hour a week. If you have a lot more time than that, maybe it's Tuesday mornings, or whatever. But there's never a shortage of things to do in real estate. Like you could always be working on something, creating content. Sometimes an objection that could come up is in the form of a question on the second page, which it was, other agents will do similar things. Why should we hire you? That could be a question. And or what makes you different from other agents? So I created 4 little boxes for each of you to kind of just write down or bullet point out some ideas on how you'd answer that question. So you have it kind of in the back of your head. For me, one thing, I kind of answer the question preemptively. Like, I don't let them answer the question. I already bring it up before I just answer the question for them. And I just explain what I do differently in case they're thinking it. And I bring up the topic when it gets to the point of photos. And I go, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you guys spend a lot of time and energy getting your house ready for sale. My job is really to present it in the best possible way. Then I ask them a question. Have you clicked around at other houses that have been online and you just see those dark, ugly photos? They go, oh yeah, I hate those. And they start talking about it. So I'm trying to make it a conversation, right? And so I go, man, that is my biggest pet peeve. Like when agents just show up and they use their iPhone 4 and they take a picture and they post 11 pictures and they're dark and ugly. I go, that's my biggest pet peeve. One thing for sure, when you hire me, we're gonna do professional photography. We're gonna do a video of your house. My goal is maximum exposure online because that's where buyers are looking. Other agents, like I said, they're gonna do what they do. They might do none of that. They'll just put a sign in the ground, post some photos. But my goal is to give you the best online exposure possible, and it starts with photography. And I even say, I consider it so important that we have our own in-house photographer right here in our brokerage. He's available to come out and do photos and a video. My brokerage thinks it's so important that the houses look their best online that we have one in-house. No other brokerage is doing that. So I'm handling the objection before they even ask it. So so you're all going to have one or two things you're going to lean on. Obviously, that's one that David leans on a lot. What do you lean on? What is your strength? Let's hear them. 4 things. Now, one of them could be as easy as I'm going to do everything that was in the previous pages for you. It could be as simple as that. But then you're going to have to come up with some that are just you, that are specifically toward you. David's going to lean on the pictures. What did I lean on back in the day? I was a HUD expert. I made a lot of money selling HUD homes because nobody else wanted to. They thought it was complicated. Funny how uncomplicated it was. It was a 1-page contract. At that time, our RPA was 4 pages. So which one's more complicated? But they didn't know that. Here, I have a HUD lead. Here, you just take them. I got referrals 3 and 4 a week just from agents within my office. So I was the HUD, I was the repo guy. I just leaned on that, and it worked for about 12 or 13 years.
So find something that you're going to lean on that's a strength, and that might not work real good on a listing presentation, although you might say, well, I went out and I found buyers for HUD homes all the time. Isn't that what you want for your home? A buyer? And my logo was, I'm your buyer's broker. So on a listing appointment, well, you're a buyer's broker. I don't want you. But don't you want buyers? And then they said, well, yeah, I do. Okay, and then it fit, right? So come up with these things. Do the best you can right now and come up with them, and let's see what you get. And if I'm telling you, after you've done this presentation, then you can answer 3 or 4 things right here. A good presentation stops objections. I saw this guy interviewed, and he sold hundreds of homes. And they asked him, what do you do when you get this objection? And he got this weird look on his face. He said, I don't ever get objections. Never. He has such a good presentation that he never has to answer objections. Pretty good, huh? I find that a little hard to believe, but he probably doesn't get them very often. So remember, better presentation, less you have to deal with objections, but we're going to deal with them a little bit here too. So let's see 4 things about you. It could be that I'm very punctual. Do you know, commonly speaking, most realtors are not evidence of our meetings when everybody's walking in 15 minutes late. They just aren't. I mean, I've had one of my top agents, and I'll say his name, Reggie. He always comes in a half hour late. It's, come on, Reg, just wait a few more minutes, we'll be done. You know, I mean, what are you doing? I hope you don't go to appointments that way, you know,
Right.
but punctual's a big thing.
I always joke I was born late.
I promise you that will never get you a listing.
I know.
I promise you. So, you know, there's a good one. I'm punctual, I'm relentless, I'm, you know, whatever it might be, but let's see what you come up with. Give us a few. Write them down, and then I'm going to start asking you for them. So communication, that's the #1 knock on realtors. #1, and has been since I've been in real estate. All 30 years, every year, it's still #1, every single year. So really use that one. All of you should use it. That should be one everybody uses, but you got to stick with it. You know, don't I call you at 5 after 5, and it's like, if you called after 5, I'll call you tomorrow. What? You'd be off my list real quick. Let me
I
tell
mean,
you.
I've even said that before in presentations or consultations. Like,
What,
hey,
don't call me till after.
no,
after
I've
5?
said, hey, the #1 complaint is lack of communication. That sellers or buyers have been frustrated with. So I'll contact you every Tuesday with an update. Or if there's something more pressing, we'll talk to you between that or after that.
Yeah,
But
you'll set a time.
set a time.
And here's what David wrote down. How would you like me to communicate with you?
I didn't write that exactly. I was trying to think of the word, but
Email, text, phone, smoke signals? Which one is it?
I ask that a lot.
And how often?
Hey,
Right,
what's
and a time, if you can. I get a lot of you communicating with me, mostly text and phone. Then I get that weird email that somebody sends me at 2 a.m. By the time I woke up at 10, no, just no comment. I've got about 100 emails already. So your email's gone. I never saw it. And I get commission demands sent to me like that too. It's like, then you ask me 2 days later, did you sign my commission demand? No, I never saw it. You know, so there's a lack of communication. On which side? Maybe both, but you are the one that has to fill that gap, not your client. Okay?
yeah, that answers. That's my question I ask a lot of times. Who do you think the ideal buyer is for your home? And they'll tell you, oh, I think, you know, we live down the street from the school. I think it's a family of some kids. or whatever it is. You say, okay, that's really good information to know because, you know, I can market to that ideal buyer. And that's
That's a good one. I like that.
so you can do there's marketing on, or a lot of times you can even a lot of times you can run ads in certain areas. So you know we're seeing a lot of Bay Area buyers. We can run ads out in the Bay Area. They're coming over here. They want to be homeowners. So
The Bay Area is driving our market right now, for sure.
you're going to target their ideal
Yeah.
buyer.
Yep.
Finish off with these questions for the seller, because I do need a boogie.
Okay, go ahead.
So, before the appointment on the phone, if it's somebody that you kind of don't know, maybe it's acquaintance or thinking about selling their house, great question. What qualities you're looking for in an agent to represent you?
That's going
Right.
to help your presentation big time. I'm looking to sell my house quick.
So now when you meet with them, 4 days later, you know what to talk about. How you're going to address those qualities that they're looking for.
Remember what I've always said? You're the, you know, you go to the fair and they have this person that tells your fortune, and you go in and you fill out that piece of paper, and then you go in, there's the crystal ball, and you sit there and she comes walking in with a robe on, and she's going to tell your future. Well, you filled out that piece of paper. Oh, I see you have a dog in your life named Snoopy. Wow, how'd she know that? Because you wrote it on that piece of paper at the front desk. That's how she knows it. That's what you're doing too. You're asking a few questions so you can come back and give them right back what they told you they wanted on the phone. Right?
Yep.
So there we go. Good ones, good
All right.
ones.
I got to take off, everybody. Good job. I know Richard can wrap it.
Yeah, I can wrap it up. Anybody have another unique one? See, easily 5 or 6 right there. So if you just needed to have 4 things to say about yourself, you have them, and why you're the one to pick. Where before, all of you were struggling to come up with 4, right? Now you have more than that. So, and there's plenty more, plenty more.
I have one.
You know, I think if you added up between me and David, first of all, time. I'm 30, right at 31 years. And then David's about 17 or 18. So we're what, 47, 48 years of experience. And with both of our sales put together, we're probably close to 800. So, especially you new ones. Now, a veteran, you might not have to use that. Hopefully you get to where you don't have to. But right now you say, you know, and by the way, Mr. Seller, I don't know what the other realtors told you, but when you hire me, you hire 3 of us. You hire me and my 2 brokers. And here's the cards. And here's some of the experience they have. So if somebody comes in, a top agent tries to come in and sell, I sell 25 homes a year. You just blew that away with what we sell. And you haven't sold a house yet. But it looks good, right? So use it. Use it to your advantage. That's a very good one. Somebody else told me a good one about why they came to this office and what they tell people now. I came to this office because I make more money. You know, on my commission split, how we split with our brokers, I make more money, and that allows me more money to market your home. It's like, well, that was a good one. I like that one. So, are all these things exactly true? Maybe not, but you use them, you know, and it worked for you one time, it didn't work the next time. That's why you have to have a few, because you're going to be presenting, say, to me, which one of those things, you know, flipped my switch and made me say, yeah. Might have only been one. Might have been Joe's, I communicate. And maybe I don't like birds. So, wish the bird would have pecked her some more, you know, or whatever. Or maybe I really, by the way, I love animals, so I would have liked that one a lot. Not that the bird bit her, but that they have birds, you know.
Different animal too.
Right, right. So, but if you have 4 or 5 good answers, you got a better chance of flipping their switch. And I've said this in real estate, flipping that switch is a big deal. And you know it when you're in real estate too. When you get on a roll, Joe knows that. He's been there. Joe is kind of the veteran in this office right here now. And I've seen Joe just sell like 4 or 5 in a row. You know, when Joe wants to turn it on, he turns it on. You're going to get to that point. Right now, it doesn't seem that way. And I'm talking about the rest of you that, you know, are still, let's say, struggling or trying to figure it out. When you do, that switch will go off in your head and say, wow, this is working. And everything's going to change in your real estate life. It's going to change that fast. When I found that niche, I was working my ass off when I first got on in the business. And I sold maybe, first year, maybe 6 or 7. And it's like, that's not making it. You know, what am I going to do? And I worked my butt off. I mean, how am I going to sell 15 or 20? I can't work twice as hard as I worked. So then you start getting smarter and smarter and learning the shortcuts. And you find a niche. And all of you will. Everybody, every top. What's David's niche? Videos. Why? Why did that niche start? Because he was too shy to talk to people. Isn't that weird? Not too shy now. What was my niche? HUD homes. I would put HUD homes in bold black letters in the newspaper under classified, free list, my number. That was it. 100,000 every year. I made 100,000 12 years in a row with that ad. Now you put that ad in the paper, nobody sees it because social media has wiped out the newspaper. So would I have to find a new niche in this business? Yes. But I still would probably base it around repos, because what do people think when you say repos?
Discount.
Discount.
Yeah, they're gonna be,
Great deal.
yeah,
Great deal.
cheaper.
Yeah, they're going to be cheaper. Fact is, they're not, because I sold them. You priced them the same way. The only reason it was cheaper is if you were taking 10,000 off, because it had 10,000 in damages. So is that really cheaper? No, it's not. But people think it is. So that's what I appealed to. And I was in a large office of 100 agents, and I put it out there that I sold HUD homes, and people started referring their business to me like crazy. I had a whole list saying thank you to everyone in the office that fed me stuff, and that amounted to quite a few sales a year. So find that niche. You will find it. You might find open houses work. Number 2 agent in our office when I was at PMZ in Modesto. Number 2 agent. What was her name? The open house queen. She held open houses all the time. Number 2 in the office. Pretty good, huh? So you might find this weird niche, but it'll work.